Earlier this year, we featured the Audi S3 Cabriolet on RPM TV, a car that tries to combine the dynamic capability and appeal of the S3 tin top with the sex appeal and the glamour of a convertible. And our question at the time was whether that car would live up to the expectations created by the S3 badge. After a week, we came to the conclusion that to a large extent, it actually does. Now the question is, what would it be like to actually own one of these cars? And since this bright yellow S3 cab has just joined our long-term test fleet, we're about to find out what ownership of this car is all about. Our S3 might be the cabriolet version, but it's still an S3, and for that reason, it's a performance car first and foremost. The body kit, aluminium trim and 18-inch wheels provide the exterior clues, but it's what's under the skin that matters most. The carefully fettled suspension together with Audi's Drive Select system means the S3 cab can be set up for comfortable cruising or hardcore performance with a soundtrack to match. The 2-litre turbo engine produces a maximum output of 210 kilowatt and a torque peak of 380 newton meters, enough to slingshot the ragtop from 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds. Top speed is 250 kilometers an hour. If road testing a car is a bit like going on a blind date, then driving a long-term test car is a bit like being married. You find out a whole lot of things that went unnoticed before. During our tenure with this car, we'll subject it to a whole bunch of different applications, from Saturday morning shopping trips to weekend getaways, long-distance cruising, and of course also daily commuting. But the real ongoing battle with this car will be the battle between practicality and glamour. The Audi's electrically operated fabric hood can be opened and closed in just 20 seconds while driving at speeds of up to 50 kilometers an hour. The cockpit is cozy and lavishly appointed, but rear headroom is restricted, and getting in and out of the rear with the roof up is awkward. Noise levels are notably higher, and while the S3 Cabriolet is a sharp handler with plenty of quattro-boosted grip, both ride and handling lack the crispness of the sedan. Also, the 285-litre boot becomes a lot smaller if the roof is folded away. With the fuel price on the rise again, fuel economy remains top of mind for many South Africans. The S3 cab is by no means an econobox, which means that Audi's claim of 7.1 litres per 100 kilometres for the combined cycle is going to be quite a challenge to meet. However, with the different driving profiles and the extended distance we're going to cover in this car, at least we'll get a realistic indication of fuel consumption and overall running costs. Talking of costs, our long-term S3 Cabriolet has been kitted out with a series of optional extras. 118,000 Rand worth of extras to be precise. At 31,000 Rand, the single most expensive item on the list is the Audi exclusive Speed Yellow exterior body paint. The sat-nav costs 22,000 Rand, the special Napa leather a further 17,000 Rand, the sport seats 9,000 Rand, the wheels 7,000 Rand, and the B&O sound a further 6,000 Rand. If it was my money, the 13,000 Rand for the LED headlights would be worth every cent though, as with the 6 grand for the adaptive cruise control. Bright yellow or not, there's something inherently attractive and sexy about a convertible, even though in the back of your mind you know that it's hardly going to be practical and that in many ways the tin top version would be the better car. However, we also know that cars like these turn mundane motoring into something special, and we intend to enjoy that special element of this car to the fullest for the next couple of months. Plenty of muscle, a sporty suspension and a dual-clutch gearbox promise scintillating performance, while the ragtop adds glamour and exclusivity. Add the high spec levels, decent steering and good brakes, and the S3 Cabriolet becomes highly desirable, except that its less extrovert tin-top cousin represents stronger value.